Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Radio is the word I was attempting to say. But I got so carried away about welcoming you to another Lawn Maintenance Tuesday edition of the program that I failed to finish pronouncing the word. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you're going to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything. If you do miss something, you know it, and I know it. We all know it. All 3 hours going to be posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's a good thing. Email the show if you like, jcs at 979espnradio.com. You can find me on Twitter at jcameronshow. WTSM app, mobile devices. Doesn't matter if it's an Android, iPhone, you name it. I'm finally going to pull the trigger on a new computer. Maybe I should take advice, just from the audience out there. Hey, so you know what I'm stuck at here? You know, I've been going through this for some time. You know, I have an HP, but I really am connected everywhere else. And it just makes more sense, given that connectivity, to make the switch. And I know people who, you know how it is. I mean, if you meet somebody who has a MacBook Pro or something like that, I mean, that's it. They're never going back. They love it. The ease of use, and it's intuitive. But when you first transition, and it can be a little frustrating for folks. It's not the ease of use, and you get to use both. You use both, right? Because your girlfriend's got the Big Mac Daddy.
That's right.
The Mac Daddy. Mm-hmm. The Mac.
Yeah, but it's reverse compatible. It also has a Windows element. It's a nice, nifty little trick.
Little trick. But do you do that?
Never. No, I use the Mac.
You want to make yourself do both.
Yeah, well, I mean,
you want to be ambidextrous.
Shoot, even when I was doing extra work for War Chant a couple of football seasons ago.
Yeah, filming stuff, doing editing, all that.
I was on a Mac. So the transition's really not that difficult.
It's not hard. It's not difficult.
No, instead of controlling,
I'm 46, Tom Lang. I'm not 30 like you.
You know all those tricks with the hotkeys, right? With Control X,
hotkeys,
and C, and V.
Yes.
You just use Command instead. That's about it. Other than that,
that's it.
There's not much to it.
All right. So you'll help me through it if I make the move.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You'll help me. You can't wait,
I'm here.
Right? You're excited about that.
I'm here for all of it.
So you're ready for that moment when we're both show prepping, and I go, "Hey, Tom!"
Yeah.
And I raise my hand, but that's going to happen with more frequency.
Sure.
And you're okay with that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You love that. Like you're editing something, and you go, "Tom!"
Yeah.
And that'll be you going, "Well, I did say I'd help the man out."
Well, I'd also like to offer up that Matthew works on a Mac every day as well. So there it is.
So Matthew,
yeah,
you used to that? You ready for that, buddy? Matthew, get in here.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything. Let's go. I need a little help here. All right. I want to say it as annoying as I can in the same annoying way, maybe a little over the top that I ordinarily would. I'm not usually that obnoxious if we're just here. I'll just say, "Hey, Tom," or "Matthew, I need a little help in here." But I'm going to say it over the top so that when it happens, you're like, "Oh, that wasn't so bad."
And ordinarily, usually you wave your hand.
Nicely done.
And you know, I kind of see it through the glass. I do the same thing. I just signal, without the shout.
Well, we've got soundproof glass here.
Yeah.
And our mics aren't always on.
Then the other thing you got to know, there are some basic differences, and that's it. But that's one with the command control. And the other is when you have the window open, where the minimize and close buttons are. It's like a red light, green light system. Red, yellow. And then it's the top left. So if you have a window open for Safari, let's say, because you're on the internet,
then you say,
but it's on the very, very
top
left
Safari,
of the screen.
Tom, but yes.
Well, I mean, you would use that or Chrome when you get the Mac.
I'm a big fan of the Chrome.
Yeah. Okay. Well, be that as it may, it could be Chrome too.
Yeah.
Your menu is on the top left of the screen. It's not on the window itself.
Yeah.
It's not attached to the window itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that takes some getting used to.
Unless you're maximized, then it's not. Then there's no difference at all. Yeah.
You got the mouse, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. As long as I got a mouse, I'm all right, buddy.
Your Bluetooth mouse.
Then I'm just flying around doing my thing.
Yeah.
Then I'm all right.
No, the Mac that I have at the house, man, that thing is 7 years old. And
you could make movies on that Mac.
Yeah.
Like literally. You could. You could do special work.
One right here.
Yeah,
you
got
movies
that.
With.
Yeah. I don't need all of that. I'm show prepping.
Yeah, but you don't, you want to spend a little bit because that thing will last you
a little bit now. I'm not going to be a cheapskate. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm ready. I've readied myself.
You already said Wheezy's days were numbered months ago.
Can you believe how long? So for those that don't know, my computer's name is Wheezy because she has hung in there. Well, first of all, I love the Jeffersons. Secondly, this computer has hung in there in a way that really, by all rights, it's a miracle. It's a minor miracle.
Oh, Jeff.
It's crazy how this, Wheezy has hung in there. I mean, we thought Wheezy was a goner 2 years ago, maybe.
Why do you open the iTunes, Jeff, when you have the Chrome open?
Whenever I do the iTunes, it goes,
the iTunes.
It's like, oh, sweet Jesus, man. But I have over 1,000 albums in my iTunes that I've actually downloaded onto my computer's like, what?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Right.
Why would you do that?
And it looks like it should be working
There's
just
a cloud.
fine.
Yeah.
And it's still wheezing. And the only reason it's wheezing is because it wants to ask you if you want to update to the newest version.
That's right. Always,
that's it. Just that extra step.
That's what it's doing. It's struggling. It likes its run game. It's like, oh, I don't know. Again with this. We're asking for another download again. You know what? I got to tell you. So in the 4 o'clock hour, you'll hear Seminole headlines. The Baseball America preseason poll came out, and I'm all at once really very excited. Florida State figures to be a very, very, very good baseball team this year. We know that Florida State. Against a lot of odds last year. At one point, hovering around right at 500, well beyond the halfway point of the season. Yes, there were a myriad of issues. Not all of it was poor play. Some of it was indeed injury. Some of it was just poor play. But the bottom line was we thought, man, I don't know. They've got real problems, and I was highly critical of the program and the brand of baseball they were playing. That's really what angered me more than anything, was that I was seeing the kinds of mistakes that they just haven't had around here. I mean, there are things that you can praise and that you can criticize and everything in between regarding Florida State baseball, but we were making mistakes and had for the last 2-3 years, base running mistakes and things of that ilk that that's not like us. And it really had me very concerned. Some might say over the top concerned. That's fine. We can have that argument. I've had that argument. But there's no doubt picking themselves up by the bootstraps, getting healthy, and rattling off a bunch of wins to win the ACC and go out to the College World Series and win 46 games when you were sitting there at, 16 and 15 or whatever it was, really was a drastic turnaround. I mean, that was really quite crazy.
As big of a turnaround as Mike Martin's ever had, because he's never been in that big of a hole before. And that's the crazy part about that season. But, yeah, it was the culmination of several years where you're frustrated with either the pitching or the defense, which is crazy, right? Pitching and defense.
That's what the whole program was built around forever.
Or the base running, or the basics of what base to throw, things like that. Where it was funny for a year. You're like, well, okay, this is kind of weird. This group just doesn't, you do what usually that the program does. And then you see it as a trend a little bit, and then the wins and losses don't come to kind of quell your fears there. So now you're at 500 and you're doing things that you kind of shake your head at. That's when you get angry. But, we made the College World Series, but for a relay play against LSU,
Yeah. No, I know.
You never know.
At the end of the day, we got to supplant the University of Florida, which comes into this season as the reigning national champion and ranked number 1 to start the year. And if you're wondering, there sits Florida State at number 3, right behind Oregon State. And Arkansas, Texas Tech rounding out that top 5. Listen, by and large, those rankings don't mean anything. They don't. You play the games on the field, and you capture a regional or you don't. You win said regional and you move on, or you don't. The games are going to be played. But what it is another indicator that next step in our sports season is nearly upon us. Practice gets underway Friday. They are back. They are underway on Friday, a few days from right now. The ping and everything else that you associate with college baseball is back, and that's exciting. I love the build-up to making my way over to Hauser. Even though I feel like Hauser should have been bulldozed and a brand-new stadium built, they're not doing that. They did the lipstick on a pig thing and put up a nice new scoreboard, thank God. That other one was 54 years old.
Well, and what are they fundraising for? What's the number? $25 million, something like that, that they're pushing for currently?
We should push for $100 million and build a state-of-the-art 50,000-seat venue. Welcome a semi-pro team in the other times of the year. I kid, but yeah, no, they're pushing. So anyhow, I love going over there nonetheless, and I love when baseball hits us. And this year, there's going to be proof over there. Did you know that?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, what a day.
The proof is in the concessions.
Look at you. Well done. That's true. It's going to happen. Maybe we make our way to opening day. Just a thought.
Well, that's what we do.
Every year.
We already planned to have the special. We
have the Mike Martin Jr. special where he comes on and talks. We do a long form.
Everything good this year?
I think
we're
so.
all good?
I think we're good to go.
Okay.
Just reached out to Mike Jr. today.
Oh, that's good.
Texted him today. We had a good conversation.
Right. Just making sure.
You know, I've been on the phone and or texting, calling, whatever it is, with coaches. It's only Tuesday. I've talked to numerous coaches. I talked to Sue Simrow today. And now listen, there's no doubt for the ladies this weekend is a big, big game. Notre Dame's coming to town. Muffin McGraw, we played the sound clip yesterday. Notre Dame comes to town. Top 10 matchup. Florida State coming off that big win against Louisville on the road against an undefeated Louisville team. They were number 2 in the country. They get knocked off. 15,000 people at that game. And I had a larger discussion, and we'll get into this down the line. She's going to join us late in the week on Friday, I think it is. But it's interesting. People have pitted me against her and her against me, or that program and this show against one another over the years. And it's just simply not fair. Now, have I openly admitted over the years for a long time that I don't actively watch women's basketball? Absolutely. I'm not going to lie to you about that. I don't. I'm just not my cup of tea. I haven't enjoyed women's basketball. And I will say, though, and this was part of our discussion, Coach Sue and I, the ladies' game has come a long way. I used to find it literally unwatchable. I couldn't, because I grew up playing basketball, loved basketball, and there was a pace to the game played by the men, above the rim, lots of things, elements that I loved about the game that just wasn't present in women's basketball. And so there were factors that just, it bored me. There's no other way to say it. It bored me. The women's game has come such a long way that I'll admit to occasionally being able to watch women's basketball and be entertained. You brought it up. We were talking earlier today, you and me. That game last year between UConn and Florida State was outstanding.
Oh, we let a 3 go with the buzzer. It
was a great game.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed it not because of what it represented. It was an entertaining game.
Sure. It was exciting because also you're playing the big dog, and if you could take them down.
And we were missing our best player.
Correct.
So we were having that conversation today, and we were laughing and reminiscing. And we go way back. And I remember when the program, what she's built here is fantastic. There's no getting around that. And I've never been against women's basketball. It's just that I wasn't going to talk about it. I understood my audience.
Which is you being against it, sir.
Well, apparently people send letters to her about me where they say, I'm the reason nobody goes to the games. Well, listen, the attendance has improved. It's getting better, and the product has gotten better. I'm the first to admit that. And I think that there are games. If it's 2 high-profile teams, really good teams, highly skilled teams, I can watch women's basketball, and it's not the way it once was. It doesn't bore me. I enjoy it in a way that I never used to. And I would imagine this weekend, it's only $1. I would imagine this weekend would be the weekend to do something like that, where you are seeing 2 really quality, high-quality teams, top 10 teams. You get in for $1, good Lord, on a Sunday. And one thing that I admire, one of the many things, but I admire that she's done and that program's done. Man, you want to talk about being of the community. And that I am. I love Tallahassee. I love this city. I've lived here longer than I've lived anywhere else. It's my home. This is my city. And when you think about it from that aspect in terms of support for local teams, programs, schools, kids, whatever that might be, yeah, I'm all in on that. So I would encourage everybody this weekend to certainly go out and catch that game. It should be a lot of fun. But I talked with her, and we went down nostalgia lane there. We were cracking up laughing, talking about all these years ago. And I used to live with the guy that was doing play-by-play for women's basketball, dear friend, funny guy. We were sharing stories about that. I was talking to her about when the program was a far cry from where it is now, where really, I mean, frankly, there was a stretch there where we weren't sure Sue was going to make it in terms of staying on as the head coach. So what she was able to do from that point to this point is to be admired. There's no doubt.
You carved out a national place in the conversation.
It's a destination.
Sure.
It's people want to come here now to go to school to play basketball.
Yeah.
If you're an elite talent in women's basketball, you look at Florida State now. I used to joke there were 2 teams in women's basketball, UConn and Tennessee. That was it. Nobody else. Everybody else was playing club. Now there's about 8 teams. Oh, you got to get parity to a higher level, but still.
And also if you look at the women's programs in general, I mean, you look at what the softball program does, you look at what the soccer program does under Coach Krikorian, and then you look at the basketball.
What a beast! He's been amazing.
Women's sports are amazing. I mean, really, honestly, if we could have, baseball, football, and basketball all operating the way those top three sports do on the women's side of the athletic department, how many people would be flocking to this city? Nobody would complain about the 2 or 3 night minimums of the hotels.
That's true. I think that when we talk about the parity of the sport that's lacking, the lack of overall competition in the women's game in certain sports, it's hard. It's not an apples-to-apples thing.
Sure. I'm not talking about TV entertainment value. I'm talking about excellence and consistency. That's all.
But I'm saying it's a little – well, I don't want to get put in a position where I talk about and belittle the successes they've had. They've done a great job. There's no question. It's what goes on here with the women's program in the ACC and what she's done, there's no doubt is amazing. It is certainly going to be a lot harder for Leonard to do that in the ACC with the men's team. That's
not what I'm trying to do.
Well, I know what I'm saying is it can't happen right now. They're not the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. And on the other hand, I'm not trying to do that and say, if the men's people would live up to the standard. No, I'm not trying to say that. Because again, they're not. It's I hear you.
Yeah, it's not a.
But excellence is excellence. Consistency is consistency, and we have a lot of that in a lot of programs that aren't on your television every game.
That's true, and I think in terms of Florida State athletics, one of the earliest shows I ever did when I first came on in Tallahassee, I remember back then you literally would pick up the Tallahassee Democrat. Now nobody reads the Democrat anymore, but you used to pick up the newspaper and open it up, and you'd read it cover to cover, right? And I would always do the thing where you opened up the sports and you'd look on the left side and you'd look down there at the rankings, and I was always like, well, why aren't we anywhere close to the top of these? What were they called back then? Was it the Sears? Whatever it was. It was.
Yeah, the Sears Trophy. No.
What was it called? I can't remember now.
It's the Capital One Trophy for a while, right?
Yeah, but they had I'm going back 20 years ago now, whatever that was. And somebody will immediately say, hey, dumbass, remember it was this. Please do that. So I would look at that and go, why aren't we, amongst the best? And then I realized that we weren't participating in enough sports. There were a lot of factors. But I was learning that. Well, anyhow, every morning I would check into that and I would think, man, if we could only get better here or a little bit better there, and then maybe this sport would come along and, we're going to introduce this sport and maybe we'll get good at that. Well, now we're consistently one of the better programs in America.
Still, we don't have Stanford's max out
number
teams,
of programs and all that. There's no synchronized swimming, or is there? I don't think so. Sorry,
not here. No,
not here.
No.
I wouldn't think.
Might be a club.
Yeah, there are lots of clubs, but the point is, there was a time where we were a far cry from being in contention for those things, and now, when you look at the state of Florida State athletics in general, to your point, men, women, across the board, we're in a good place. It's a good time to be an old.
Exactly.
Really good time to be an old.
Yeah, beyond like the quote-unquote big money-making sports.
Right.
I mean, you do a radio show on Wednesday nights with a guy who's done pretty good here
Oh,
at
Trey
Florida
Jones has
State.
done an amazing job, right?
And their tournament's coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah, no, it's exciting.
Which is fun to watch because even the
You've
worst
gone
kids
out there. I got to go out there this year.
like one of the worst kids in the field, at least for that weekend,
is better than
I looked his score up, and he hit one 310, and he held it on a green. He flew at 310 in Southwood. He holds it on the green, and I don't even know that he's hitting driver. It was just incredible to see how that level is. And that's not even they look at the pros the same way I'm looking at that guy. And that guy wasn't even a top 20 player in the
Well, to be able to go into your backyard and see that kind of an event and those caliber of players. And now, by the way, on that note, too, since we're talking big picture stuff.
Remember, it's $1 on Sunday, people. It's $1.
That's right.
Good Lord.
But big picture discussion that you're talking about with golf, one great thing that's happened, if that's your thing, and yes, Tom just alluded to it, every Wednesday I do a 1-hour golf show with head coach Trey Jones from Florida State. Well, one thing it's helped me.
Is that a national show?
It is. It's on all over the country.
Okay.
But one of the things that it's helped me do is, learn a little bit more about these programs, not just ours, but programs across the country, who are the best coaches, who are the most consistent, different and different ideas in terms of the coaching and the strategies that go on and the way that programs are built and all this other stuff. Well, I've learned a lot about college golf, but what I also learned, because we're privy to these numbers, working for SiriusXM PGA Tour Network, is the rise in college golf, the popularity of college golf, so much so that last year the Golf Network had more college golf on than ever before. And they attribute that to the team aspect and the collegial aspect that people like to see, where a guy went to school and they see their university next to him, and they're keeping track of the money leaders now and all of that,
well,
which school produces the most.
Yeah, they do that more, on weekend graphics
You'll
for
see
the PGA.
Yeah, you'll see where that guy went to school. It's cool.
It started with the bags, right? The logo on the bag, and you'd see, or the head covers actually is probably where it really started. I can recall back in the 90s, DeMarco having the gator on his bag, or I think
a Scumbag.
Yep. That's okay. Ben Curtis did too, I believe.
Did he?
Yeah, he went to Florida, didn't he? Somebody else had anyway. Tiger obviously had some Stanford memorabilia. But then now you see it on the bags underneath their names, and now from that point it's on the graphics. You really threw me off with that line there. A little rattle with the because I duck automatically. My dad's least favorite term is that.
Scumbag?
Yes, we've talked about this before. Look it up. It is vile to call somebody that.
But nobody uses it in that way. Nobody, especially nobody my age,
right,
uses it in the way that you're talking about.
Any word in the book, and my dad, hey, knock it off. But if you say that,
really,
hey,
which is crazy.
Yeah. So every time I hear
my language, which is certainly a bit gruff,
more colors than the visible light spectrum, sir.
Rough around the edges at times, wouldn't upset your dad. So long as I stayed away from Scumbag.
Well, he wouldn't like it very much, but
By the way, most people use it the way that it's currently listed in the dictionary, which is just an objectionable person.
Sure. Yeah,
that's how it's listed. Now, if you go and find the origin, perhaps, of the words, then it would be. But you can go back along. I understand what you're saying, and this is why he has a problem with it. But as late as the early 1900s. It's not that. It's just despicable person.
Sure. It must be Brooklyn in the 50s and 60s or something that they were really throwing that around, and those were fighting words.
The other thing.
Yeah, it had to be.
All right. We were all over the map there, but that's okay. It was broad, far-reaching. Jeff Cameron, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Free $50 gift cards to these American heroes. These gift cards are good at over 25,000 restaurants nationwide and over 40,000 online choices. So please come to Kraft Nissan now through the end of the month for our first ever Hero Appreciation Week. And because this is a very heartfelt week for us, Kraft Nissan will offer the best deals on all of our new and used cars and trucks to all of our customers during this event. But just for joining us, Kraft Nissan will give a free $50 gift card to a local military or first responder with no purchase necessary. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. See dealer for details. Some conditions apply.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. They have daily lunch specials, all under $9, happy hour drink specials, and happy hour on Friday, 2 p.m. to close. Darts are coming in January to West Pensacola Street. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers, plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill, 3 locations to choose from: 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Sports are defined by stats and performance, but here's a performance stat that no one wants to talk about. Erectile dysfunction affects half of all men over 40. That's 50%. If you're struggling with ED and other therapies haven't worked, isn't it time to feel like yourself again? Learn about a long-lasting ED solution from Coloplast to get you back in the game. Visit Dr. DeLay at Advanced Urology Institute, located at 2000 Centerpoint Boulevard, or call their office and set up an appointment today. 833-4DRDELAY. That's 833, the number 4, Dr. DeLay. The sooner you seek treatment, the sooner you can get back to feeling like your normal self. That's 833, the number 4, Dr. DeLay.
Hendrick.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your savings. Race into Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC for the best selection and service in Tallahassee. Get incredible discounts on racetrack-worthy vehicles like $10,000 off select new Buicks and GMCs. We are professional grade. And that's not all. We've got a huge used car inventory, so you can find a quality pre-owned vehicle to fit any budget. We even offer low payments and exceptional offers like 0% APR financing. Hassle? No way. Haggle? Never. At Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC, you'll deal with people you know, like, and trust, and get the honest, friendly service you deserve. That's why our customers will tell you there's no better car buying experience in town. Visit us today at 1850 Capitol Circle Northeast or online at DaleJr.BuickGMC.com. And remember, you too can be a Hendrick driver.
And now Jeff and Eddie waste my time instead of recording a commercial.
And then you decided to sell it. And I always thought you should keep it.
You know, I wanted to keep it.
It was perfect. It was perfect. Why wouldn't you keep that?
It wasn't the right color.
It was perfect. I tell
know.
everybody to this day, you should have seen the other one. You should have seen the other one. It was incredible. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Ah, the perfect lunch spot. A nearly impossible find. Thankfully for Tallahassee, we have Metro Deli. A downtown gem for over 15 years, Metro Deli is locally owned and features the best deli meats, cheeses, breads, and ingredients in the city. Enjoy daily specials and soups, salads, and wraps. There's something for everyone. Metro Deli offers online ordering for pickup or delivery and will cater your office breakfast or lunch too. Tallahassee's perfect lunch spot is Metro Deli. MetroDeliTally.com. That's MetroDeliTally.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
It ain't bragging if it's true.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's already started. My fear was the transition of the Jimbo Fisher era and that coaching staff dissolving and him going elsewhere, and the influx of new coaches and different styles of football that will be played, and just start diving into the backgrounds of these new coaches and figuring out who they are and where they've coached and what they represent, and as a collection what we can anticipate would lead to what's happened with me already. It is January 23rd, and I'm ready to talk about the spring game in football. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's never happened this way before. I'm already ready.
Yeah,
I'm already I'm here to tell you, Tom, I'm excited. It's ridiculous. Now, if you're FSU, hey, capitalize on people like me, because I don't think I'm alone. I think, obviously, they'll send it out and they'll talk up the spring game and everything else, and it'll be great. But it's a long ways off, and I'm already sitting here on the 23rd going, well, and then, we could do this, and imagine we'll be able to utilize our freshman receivers and put them in space, and we're going to do. And I think about the good years that people who were on the bench are going to have and people that didn't get a lot of action, and all of a sudden I talk about what's possible with that, and Man, it's ridiculous. I shouldn't be doing that. There's no reason for that. Well, there is a reason, but it doesn't hardly seem very logical.
Were you this excited in 2010? Can you recall back that far?
Well, I was very, as somebody who had been ringing the bell for some time, for an advocate of change, to say the least, I was.
For some time, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I can assure you, but it was different, and this is something we are all going through for, frankly, the first time. Well, I shouldn't say all. There are some really old listeners out there, but we are going through a transition that is different from the previous one that we haven't done. And prior to that, you would have had to have been, really kind of paying attention in the late 70s. So what I'm saying is Jimbo was already on staff. So when we transitioned from Bobby, when that finally ended, the guy that was taking over was already here, and I was already interviewing him. I already knew who he was. I was already talking to him on a regular basis. I knew what his philosophy was, and I was excited about where that would take us and how he would modernize things and how we would be able to better recruit and assess, and that happened. So watching that play out and seeing it culminate with a national championship was very exciting. I could not have predicted from that day to this day would happen as rapidly as it did, and the demise of that very successful run would have come by 2017. But that's what happened. And anyhow, now we're going through a very abrupt and very different sort of transition. And so, I don't know, maybe I'm more excited. Not because I think he's going to have more success or less success or anything in between, just because it is completely different from the last time. And I really have no earthly idea what to expect. I have some opinions about what I think will happen based on these coaches, their track records, and the players that are on the roster, coupled with the schedule, so you can make educated guesses on what we think is going to happen. But it is, by and large, a bit of a mystery. I mean, they could go out there. That first game is perfectly suited in this sense. On the one hand, you could begin the Willie Taggart era with a bang and an uptick of enthusiasm that reaches almost hysteria if in game one you beat Virginia Tech on a Monday night with the nation watching and you get off to that start, because the next games, the next 3 or 4 games are all imminently winnable, probably even one-sided. So you're going to carry over a momentum, and we had come to a complete halt, a screeching halt. All of a sudden, you jumpstart the whole thing again, and we'll be downright delirious if that happens. I don't know. It's a weird place to be in January. I hope it calms down. I don't need this. I don't need to be thinking about football, college football in early February.
Yeah. I would think that this is probably more exciting on its face, just because you're right. In 2010, we already knew what the offense was going to look like too. It's about Mark Stoops and the defense. But really, does that bring a ton of people to a spring game? People showed out because we actually had a game for the first time. It wasn't about, well, let's see what they do. It's like, well, they have a game. It's not this weird, point system where it's like 10 points if a defense.
And it was the start of the era.
Right.
But yeah.
But it's not the same in this sense that you're just having a complete change of philosophy to the sexier side of the ball. We already knew what the offense, again, was going to look like by and large. So there are so many more fundamental questions. But my wonder is that once we get into spring practice itself, based upon the level, I suppose, of access you get to the coaches and to practice itself.
That's also very exciting, too. More access is going to be a big shift.
We'll see. Yeah, how much more?
But it'll be more. He's already he's allowed at other previous stops his assistants to talk.
That would be nice.
that's
helpful. Nice and different.
Yeah.
Yes. I just wonder if you're going to say before the spring games, well, you know what? I did it again to myself. I got excited for spring football.
No, I don't think so.
No?
I'm predicting now.
A one-time deal, maybe next year it'll be old hat,
but
this year?
Yeah. Probably so. Yeah, the following, probably so. No, I don't think so. I think we're all going to be excited to see what that looks like. And we're going to be excited because we are going to be granted more access to Willie. I don't know about to Willie, but to the offensive and defensive coordinators. I think you get a chance to get to talk to players a little bit more.
Well, I get to see how practices run. That would be nice. That only makes sense, too. Even if you do it as a one-time only thing. Jimbo did that. When Jimbo first got here, he gave you access to some practice, but to the scrimmages, the press box was open.
Everybody went up there,
sitting in the press box watching
a
scrimmage.
No, his paranoia didn't come on until much later, until there were some bumps in the road, until what in his mind maybe were unrealistic expectations, or if something went awry that he hadn't anticipated, then he felt the need to shut it down. But prior to that, no. I mean, we were able to get some access.
So from our standpoint, to have audio samples from different coaches throughout the week would be nice. That would be very nice.
It's helpful in creating a dialogue and telling stories and covering and informing individuals about their team, you know?
Well, because, after Monday, for example, during football season, when you would splice up either Jimbo's post-game presser, where obviously had the one-on-one interview that you had that ran, twice a show, or his Monday presser where he adds on to whatever he had to say to you on Sunday, none of the rest of the week was useful at all because he wouldn't give you a thing. Like any sound that came from Florida State the rest of the week was not useful. Players aren't going to step out of line until the bitter end this year where you had some guys talking not out of school, but
just straight up
he's just willing to tell you how it is.
Yeah.
Listen, this is how they might tell you how it is. I'm telling you what I see every day.
That was hilarious.
Right. Yeah.
Lack of leadership, lack of focus.
Sure.
He broke it down.
But you got 2 or 3 players, and then the post game you didn't even get as many players as you used to when Jimbo first started. So you had nothing to work with. It'll be interesting to learn the personalities of these different coaches. No doubt.
It goes a long way. You actually build up, some equity with the fans in that sense, and some. It's just helpful in any line of work that involves media to at least open yourself up to the idea that you can get from them as they do from you something that is mutually beneficial. It's just it's a wise thing to do. Utilize it.
Sure, but I'm looking at it from the perspective of a fan. Because I want to hear from these guys.
I want to know about those players. I want to know about those coaches, right?
Yes, it helps us, but it also is a tool to get your message out so that people can hear the damn message. Like, that's important. For Jimbo, it wasn't. It was toward the end.
It became obsolete. He hated it.
Well, he's like, you know what I'm about, which is true. He's going to speak in the same 17 cliches and just alternate depending upon your win-loss record.
Didn't have to do that, though. Didn't have to get that way. Just a shame. It gets brought back up on headlines today. Because what happens is I do believe with the enthusiasm centered around the shift and the change of coaches and what it's going to look like and the schedule coming out and all that, you're once again taking inventory of your emotions and the things that went wrong and how we arrived at this place. And it's only natural to kind of bring it back up again. And with the benefit of time that passes and the ability to certainly inform yourself and talk to more people and look back at what happened, you're going to have a fresh set of opinions about the situation. And, if that means you relive some things that people are ready to move on from, so be it. I think it can be a healthy discussion. It doesn't have to be a constant screw that guy, but it can be like, wow, what the hell happened there? That really was weird how it all went south in a hurry.
Yeah, and I can tell you, too, because I'm a guy, even with the professional team, with the Bucks, I like to watch every press conference that I can get my hands on. Mm-hmm. And usually practice broke, at least under Jimbo's schedule, while we were on the air for the most part. Mm-hmm. So and even on the weekends ones that, I'm not going to go out for the same damn message. But that's the point, is I stopped caring about what he had to say after about a Wednesday practice.
Which is never good.
It was the same thing. It was always the same thing, and nobody ever saw anything. So you don't know whether or not he's just telling you his version of the story so it keeps everything, in line.
Well,
or if he's giving you something real to work with.
In the beginning, even when there was some, tightening of the screws, if you will, where he began to shut it down earlier and all you got was the stretches and walk through and all that. One thing you could find out, we all have sources, people who saw the entirety of practice, let's say. I would check in with them and they would confirm what he said after practice. They'd go, no, he's right. That happened. The offense was pretty good today. Defense did have its moments. This player stood out. He's right about that. The last year and a half, that's not how that went. You would talk with those same sources. They'd be like, no, what he said didn't happen. That's not true. That player didn't even practice. I don't know why he brought that up. Like, that's the kind of thing that was happening when you would check in with these people. So it went from even though it was shut down, he was telling you the truth, to he's just making stuff up.
Oh, Noddy looked great today. Noddy was on the bike for a maintenance day.
Noddy was home. I don't think there was any... Hey, completely separate deal here real quick. Did you see Virginia Tech beat North Carolina last night?
Yes.
Okay, so I watched that game.
Stunner. I didn't watch it. So.
Well, here's the deal. What happened? I keep talking about this. All right, so they lose that game to us 91-82, right? And so we light up the scoreboard and we score almost at will. They come out last night. They're taking on the number 10 ranked team in the country, Castle Coliseum, and they're a different team altogether. They go on this crazy run late in the first half, an 18-4 run. They end up leading at the break. Then they go on a big run in the second half, 16-5. They build up a big lead, and they win the game 80-69. It's really not even that hotly contested. They hold North Carolina, more skilled players, all that stuff, right, to 69 points. Same team that just gave up 91 to us. Same team, same house, same building, a couple days earlier. Couldn't get a stop against us. They shut down North Carolina to the tune of 80-69. Two things are at play here. A, desperation for Virginia Tech after the loss to Florida State. This is what that league does. When you catch people, completely matters. BC catching us after a double overtime game against Syracuse was good fortune for them, especially since they had played, what was it, an Ivy League school.
Yeah, on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. So they rested their starters up 30 or whatever it was.
Sure.
So they came in as rested as anybody. Well, that benefited them greatly, and they took advantage of it. We had our rest, got our legs underneath us, went up there determined, coming off a loss, wanting to play good basketball, had our focus, went in there and stole a game from Virginia Tech. Now they're in desperation mode. They're seeing their season get away from them. They had a nice year last year. They'd like to sustain the positive momentum, much like us. Buzz gets them fired up. They come out ready to go. Places going nuts. North Carolina, this is the other thing that's going on here, happens all the time under Roy. It would drive them nuts if not for the fact that they sometimes, win national championships, so they'll learn to forgive it. But Carolina every year goes through these stretches where they just don't play hard. They don't care to try very hard at all.
Yeah, that's the one thing I took out of reading the box score. Again,
they didn't try very hard.
Well, they only got to the line 5 times in the game. So that tells me they got 3-point happy. They only shot 32% from 3. They shot a decent percentage from the field, but from, beyond the arc, they didn't hit that many. And then they only got to the line 5 times, which is, the opposite of the way our game ended up.
That's right.
After the first half, we thought, wow, we're never going to get any calls. And in the second half on Saturday, we're going to the line left and right, especially as the game is being extended by Buzz.
It's one of the reasons I admire it. I hate to say it every time, but I do. I have to say it. I admire Duke. Now, they get better players. They got the best players. I sound like a certain president, but they do. That's true. But they play hard. They always play hard.
Many players. Many players.
But they try hard. They're intense. They're focused every night. That's something that I think is different about Duke than North Carolina. I know that if you're a Carolina fan, you probably recoil at the idea that that's what the difference is between the two programs. But under Roy...
Right. Duke gets better players, but North Carolina players stay there for all 72 years of eligibility. That's the other thing.
It feels that way.
They have so many 6th and 7th year players, it's ridiculous.
So this is where we're at. This is here you go in the ACC. So what that does, right? These are the teams with 3 wins in ACC play. This is crazy. Now, there are some that have more than 3, but these are the teams with at least with just 3 wins in conference. I say just. It's just part of a large group of bunched up teams. Georgia Tech, whom we play tomorrow, 3-3 in the ACC. So here you go. Georgia Tech, Florida State, Boston College, Notre Dame, NC State, now Virginia Tech, all teams with 3 wins, all right there together. Your top teams, obviously, are Virginia, Louisville, Duke, Clemson, North Carolina. After that, everybody's got 3 wins, save for Syracuse, Wake, and Pitt. It's unbelievable. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
Professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, I'm Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. Some roofers are like a bad boyfriend. They make lots of promises, but in reality, they're just cheap. They don't own up to their mistakes, and they leave you with a lot of regret. Parker Brothers Roofing stands behind every installation, and if a mistake is made, we own it and fix it. Our customers never have to worry about being left behind for the next job. At Parker Brothers, it's quality that builds our quantity. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing. Professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Credit products are made by WebBank. Rates and terms vary based on credit history. Amazon is not a sponsor of this promotion. Other restrictions apply. See website for details.
How did I get into credit card debt? A trip to the emergency room.
Car repairs.
Moving expenses.
There's a million ways to get into credit card debt, but one sure way to start getting out: Avant. Avant offers access to online unsecured loans from $2,000 to $35,000 at competitive rates and no extra charges for paying back early. Over 500,000 customers have experienced the convenience of a loan through Avant. No wonder Avant has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. The application takes minutes, and if approved by 4:30 p.m. Central Time Monday through Friday, funds are deposited as soon as the next business day. And now Avant will also give you a $50 Amazon.com gift card after your first payment is made on time. To check your loan options and to get this special radio offer, go to Avant.com today and enter promo code 4949 when applying. That's AVANT.com, promo code 4949. Avant.com, code 4949.
Let me tell you a story. It's a love story between a restaurant and its city, and the people of its city. At the corner of Adams and Jefferson, in the heart of downtown Tallahassee, Andrews has been serving up great food, great fun, and great memories for over 45 years. A lot has changed over the years, and Andrews has once again been reinvented to bring the best of the best to its people. There's Tallahassee's original Sunday brunch buffet, fresh, scratch-made recipes, dining under the new outdoor pergola, a boutique meeting space for up to 120 people downstairs, and a half-price happy hour, 4 to 8 on weekdays and all day Saturday and Sunday for fun times with family and friends. Today, Andrews is better than ever in the capital city. The story continues. Come make memories with us, downtown at Andrews. Better than ever.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Moments, well, shortly anyhow, the boys will join me in studio. We got together earlier today, and you'll hear some little headlines. Go over the schedule, go over that last win, look ahead, talk about a number of things that are on the headliner or from the headliner's questions that are interesting. So you'll hear, Tom, when that starts, that Ira takes issue with something you said on the Jeff Cameron Show this week about the schedule.
Which part? Oh, when we were talking about the round table?
Yeah, he didn't mind that you didn't, or that he didn't mind that I didn't read the round table, which I admitted to. He said, well, he was kind of taking issue about what we wrote with the toughness of the schedule, and then basically predicted exactly what we predicted, which was 9-3.
No, what I'm arguing is because they were talking about how they were done no favors. And I'm like, I think they were done a favor, because if I was to have a tough part of our schedule, I would rather have it be the back end of the schedule than the front end. So in that sense, I think that the ACC did okay by Florida State, because we'll be a much better version of ourselves by the time we face that test.
Corey's argument is that you would much rather, and we got to put the new schedule up there instead of the old one.
This is true.
Would much rather you play that Virginia Tech game the second week and that whatever nothing game.
Yeah, Sanford.
Yeah, play that the first week just to, they'll get the bells and whistles in order before you.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No, there's no doubt. But I think, the way the schedule lays out, and that you could have 1 loss or 0 losses in ACC play, conceivably, when you host Clemson, that's all you can ask for. I mean, really, given how many big teams we play and all the things that they're going to have to be able to command at game speed.
That's right.
Which is lethal simplicity and whatever we're doing on defense. Again, the number one question to me is, it's not about are we getting simpler? I know we are. But what about the transition? Is that simple? To unlearn what we know and then to learn the new concepts. Is that going to be a simple process or not? If the answer is yes to that, then, again, you hit the back half of that schedule and you're in full stride at that point. You're not, limping.
I'm excited. My argument, and I've said this to you, and I'll say it again here, and I say it on the show coming up, I really think the team has a chance to be markedly better, appreciably better by a long shot on both sides of the football, primarily on offense. The defensive numbers ended up being okay. I just want to see us attack more on defense, which I think we're going to do. Create more turnovers, get after the quarterback, the kinds of things we didn't do this past year. But offensively, I'm not just talking about scoring points. That's obvious. That's going to happen because of the pace they're going to play at and the style of offense they're going to play. But I think that the level of confidence in the really young but supremely talented players that will come from scoring a lot of points and getting on the field in space, athletes becoming what they want to be, which is the ability to utilize their skill set in space, being put in positions to succeed. The confidence that will come for the younger guys that are going to get opportunities in this offense early on could see this team really shock as we get to the midway point. That is to say, could be beating people like a drum. Could be beating people in ways we haven't in years that I've missed dearly. Because my lament with Jimbo the last few years is everything is so difficult. Everything is like pulling teeth to the point where you're sweating out Duke games, you're sweating out Wake games, you're sweating out every game. And when you watch Clemson, who dominates the ACC right now, and you watch Alabama in the SEC, they'll have 5 to 6 games in conference a year where they're beating somebody by 30 in the middle of the third quarter. You'll flip over and you're like, oh, Clemson's up 37-10 against NC State. Oh, Clemson. Now they have a game where they lose too, but you know what I mean. You'll look at Alabama and they're up 58-0 on Ole Miss, who's not filled with garbage athletes, who have good players, right?
Sure.
And you'll go, funny. They can do that, and we never do.
Yeah, the defense is the multiplier, though. I mean, as much as we're talking about maximizing possessions and maximizing yardage points, all that stuff, and minimizing the time it takes to do all of those things, the defense is the multiplier.
Has got to make plays, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we got a really good defensive coordinator in here. I'm very excited about it. I really listen. Again, year one with what you've lost, implementing everything new coaching staff. It's unreasonable to expect 11-1, 12-0. Gotcha. Yeah. But I don't think it's crazy person talk to mention 10-2. I think 9-3 is more likely. But I'll float 10-2 out there.
I'll be interested to see if that's what we were disagreeing about, because I could have taken half of the point, not the full point.
Well,
so,
and
without context,
he's kidding anyhow. But I'm saying,
we're all. Everybody's kind of on the same side here. So
yeah, no, I probably mischaracterized what he said. You'll hear it. It's coming up real shortly. By the way, before we get to that, Big Daddy J is looking at some.
Okay.
Big Daddy J is looking at some Red Russians tonight. I know our Lightning play again tonight.
Yeah,
we're actually. Let me ask you something. This is Big Daddy J is asking.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting a goal and a half tonight.
Playing poorly in general.
I know we won 2-0 last night, but
that's a goalie win. That's not. We didn't do much there.
But getting a goal and a half.
We haven't won in Nashville since 2008. There's something about a House of Horrors effect there, and it's the second of a back-to-back with a worse goalie. So I get the logic behind the goal and a half.
All right. Well, let me ask you this then, buddy. Over 5.5.
I think so. I think Nashville's probably going to account for 3 or more of those.
All right, so yeah. Today is Tuesday.
I'm not picking us to win tonight.
All right, well, that's fine. Just cover a goal and a half. I mean, good Lord, they got us getting boat raced out there.
It may happen. It's kind of like the Boston College effect, right? For the basketball team, you're on short rest in a lot of circumstances.
Right
well, we're not playing well and we're on short rest, and we're going to a place that we never win.
So, as an aside, the numbers for Big Daddy J seem to suggest let's take all the overs tonight. New Jersey, Boston, 5.5. Over. Carolina, Pittsburgh, 5.5. I'm going over. Philly, Detroit, 5.5. Over. Colorado, Montreal, 5.5. Over. Ottawa, St. Louis, 5.5. And the Lightning, Nashville, 5.5. By the way, there is we got Rangers and Anaheim, 5.5. Columbus and Vegas, 5.5. There is no 6 tonight. Not a single 6 on the docket. Let's sweep across the board and go all over for Big Daddy J.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think you'll clear 60-70% of those
That's
easy.
all we're trying to do around these parts. It's a good night. I'm going to pony up, have my boy Reggie come on over after he's done with the dishes in the back. Come on, sit down. Let's watch a little late-night hockey.
You asked me how my family is, Big Daddy, but I know you don't care.
Do care. I care about this hockey game now more than I do.
Exactly. See,
but
right. I could have said anything, and you would have said that.
I would have said, "All right."
Yeah.
But no, Well, my oldest son is maybe going to have his right leg amputated. All right. Nothing game here in the second.
Yeah, 5-on-3. Let's get that goal.
So, anyhow, I'm going all overs tonight for those of you that like to play along with Big Daddy J for some Red Russians. They're all 5.5. Every game tonight's 5.5.
The first one you listed feels like the surest of things to me, which was Boston and the Islanders.
No, Devils and the Bruins. Boston and the Bruins.
Oh, it's not the Islanders?
No, it's the Devils, New Jersey.
Oh, okay. That still doesn't change things immensely. That still feels like an over.
The Islanders was one of the last ones I gave you, which was did I give you the Islanders? I don't know if I saw the Islanders.
No, maybe I just heard.
You heard Islanders and went, woo.
Yeah.
No, so the Rangers and the Ducks are at 5.5.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I do like the Boston one better.
Devils, Bruins,
and
over.
Is it Pens Hurricanes?
Yes.
Okay.
5.5.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
That's over too.
You can safely assume that one.
Across the board, we don't dilly-dally. There's no hodgepodge effect here. We don't go one or the other with these hockey bets during the week. Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Going over, baby. Should be a lot of fun. Seminole headlines, yes.
Sly Stallone going over the top.
Going over the top. All overs. You guys be monitoring now. Could be Red Russians for the lot of us. Woohoo! I'll walk back into the bar tomorrow and they'll go, Big Daddy J! And I'll go, hey!
Someone's getting a big tip tonight.
Red Russians for everybody. If you don't know, that's vodka and Coke, warm.
Mm-hmm. Both of them. Don't use the gun. Wait, don't use the gun.
Don't use the gun.
Gotta have the can.
I want the warm can.
Not the one in the fridge.
No. That can that's waiting to be put in the fridge.
Yeah.
That's the one I want.
Right.
It's no ice.
It's not waiting at all.
No, it's
where
going
it should
in
be.
that cup for Big Daddy J and the over. Seminole headlines next.